What I'd like to ask you though is, how do you think people look, organizations look at what we do and what we eat? Do they see it, do you think, as as a way of eating, or do they sort of view it as a particular diet in its
Yeah,
own way?
diet.
Is it seen as a
100%.
diet?
Yeah, 100% diet.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
So restrictive.
Yeah, like just equivalent to a keto diet, or I'm gluten free, or I'm vegetarian. It's yeah, it's just another diet, I guess, that you're on to lose weight, I would say, rather than this is actually not just for people to lose weight. This is actually about health. Everybody should be eating this way. So, I mean, clearly Shayne's never had a weight problem ever in his whole entire life, but he still has embraced the plant-based lifestyle, and there's no way he would go back
Hmm.
to eating meat and dairy and all the rest of it. It's just once you know, you can't unknow, can you?
Correct, and it's hard, but it's still hard, isn't it, to change that perception in people's minds that we kind of that we might be just off on a bender or something, and so or that there's some sort of agenda here. It's not a question of being able to talk health, as we, just per se, no matter what we're eating. Really, what we're doing is we're talking health.
Yeah.
And I actually enjoy telling people I'm whole food plant-based, because when I say I'm vegan, to me, vegan has this whole connotation attached to it about animal rights. And that's kind of somehow, I know that our younger adult sons, the word
Mm.
vegan really rattles them. Oh, you're one of those, you're going to carry a flag and do all this. It's about a movement. If you're vegan, you're about a movement, and that's the animal cruelty movement. Whereas being whole food plant-based is actually about, to me, it's about humanity. It's about my health. It's about me taking responsibility for my own health and not relying on farmer to actually to make me well. It's actually saying I'm going to invest in me. I mean, I firmly believe that if the body is given the right conditions to heal, it will heal. You know,
Yeah.
that's where I sit. If my
Mm.
body grew it, it can heal it. That's how I see it.
Kath, how did you come across this?
Um,
And how did you guys come across
It was
WFPB,
it was interesting. So for me, my personal battle, I mean, I have always carried extra weight, and I have yo-yoed backwards and forwards so many times. Just, the typical story that if you speak to anyone that's ever had weight, they'll know. I mean, the first time I went on a diet was when I was 7. My sisters dragged me along to a Weight Watchers meeting in a church hall, and the bell would ring if you put weight on. And then gradually over the years, I associated that food became healthy food, as in weight loss food, but not really healthy. It was more like diet food, and this is not diet food. And I only saw food in that way. I didn't actually realize the power of food, that it actually had another purpose, was actually to heal. So, I've had to battle a food addiction my whole entire life. And, I've gone to bed starving and, thinking that if I just held on a little bit longer, I'd get there. I'd get there. And of course, you can't. Not many people can sustain that type of weight loss. The starvation is literally what you're going through. I mean, at my lightest that I ever got down to, I can remember going to my GP, and he said, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it because it's working a treat. And if I had had a thin body, he would have realized that I was just about anorexic, because I was eating nearly nothing. But my body didn't look like that at that stage. It was just, reducing. So I was encouraged to keep going with that, and just having diet shakes and not eat at all, So it was a very unhealthy relationship. So, through the journey, I've had to heal. So then I gave up completely, just like, the typical SAD diet. I call it the standard Aotearoa diet now. That was completely, yeah, that was completely, oh, well, I'll just eat what I want, health at any size. And I was big on that whole movement, but, you live in fear. And every time, my parents both had heart disease, died reasonably early. Mum was a diabetic. And I just look at all those things, and the last couple of years of Mum's life were not well. So I was determined that I was going to not be that person. So Actually, to be honest, I went on a keto diet, and I became really, my body just didn't like it, and I ended up with gout. And I know it was that because it was just too high. I mean, I took it to the max. I can follow something really well when I really want to follow it, be quite disciplined. And yeah, I ended up with gout. So then I cut out all meat products. Like, sorry, I cut out red meat because, you read what it says about having gout, and that's what it tells you. Don't drink, don't eat red meat. So that was completely gone. So at that stage, I was pescatarian, and then I basically kept getting it. So maybe 3 times a year, I'd get it. And then I took out the white meat. And then it was like, okay, well, I need to be vegan. So I went vegan, and then I still got it. And I'm like, oh, what's left to eat? There's no food left. What is it? And then a friend sent me an article by an SDA lady, and she is basically like a naturopath, and she was talking about alkaline and an acid diet and what that does in your body, and that vegetables are the most alkaline diet you can go on. And I searched and I found Dr. Gregor, and then I found Dr. Michael Clapper, and then of course Netflix. I watched the typical movies, Puppies Out, and then what else? It was just from then on, and it just grew and grew and grew, and I just saw the changes in my body. And I went and had my bloods tested, and I was pre-diabetic, pre-heart disease. This was on a vegan diet. um what else did I have? I had fatty liver. I had, my cholesterol was a little bit too high. My blood pressure was too high. Just the whole combination of everything, really. And when I was vegan at that stage, and I thought that I'd be like breezing through this, that it would be, fine. And yeah, it wasn't. So that's when I really realized I needed to transition from that vegan lifestyle to a whole food plant-based diet. And just never looked back. Within 5 months, had my bloods redone, and the doctor didn't even want to see me. It was like everything is completely normal. Everything. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So I say that all of those plant-based doctors, I am so grateful for them, because I say they saved my life. That's literally, just the power of food.
The thing is, at that time, what's the time frame here? Are we looking, what, 5, 6 years ago, or no,
For
that
whole
you?
food plant-based?
Yeah.
Whole food plant-based was round about, it's funny, isn't it? We always say pre-COVID or after COVID. It was kind of like, that was not long before COVID, because I was having
Okay.
blood tests done, and I remember, it was the whole rigmarole of getting in and going to see the doctor. I had to have it on, the call on the Zoom. You couldn't see him. Oh, God, I just got a puppy that's crying. And yeah. Anyway, yeah, so it was about then that I changed to whole food plant-based. So I guess we're coming up 5 years now, eh? I guess 4 years.
Yeah.
4 years, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's refined even from that first. I was probably quite high on carbs when I first started, and the initial weight loss came off really quickly, like really, really quickly, and the health benefits started really quickly. I mean, altogether, I've probably lost, I don't know, because I refused to weigh myself, of course, because, body positivity. So, but I'd say altogether, I've probably lost about, I don't know, about 40 kgs. I went from a dress size at my heaviest was like a size 22, 24, and I'm now wearing a size 16. So if you go back that way, it's a considerable amount of size difference there. So I'm still on my journey. I still have extra weight to lose, but I know that if I just keep doing what I keep doing, and I'm not starving myself, I'm enjoying eating really good nutritious food, and the health benefits are instant. Unlike other diets, you'll lose weight, but you don't receive those health benefits straight away. Some of them you might, but this does. So yeah, I'm really passionate about it.
Yeah. And the thing is too, is that some of the diets, and we've found it with our friends, people that have been on keto or been on many other diets, really, they can find it hard to stick to. there's a lot in this system. It's a kind of a basic understanding about health, isn't it? Because when we look at the, what you're now calling the standard Aotearoa diet, and I like that one. That's really great. That's I'll use that in future.
Yeah.
I'll attribute to you, yeah, because but the thing is, we can look at what's going on in the world and realize that, I don't know, where was it that we lost the ability to put plants on our plate somehow?
Yeah.
We just, isn't it? Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Well, I said that I wish that I'd called my social media three three veg and no meat, because we were raised on meat and three veg. That was our background. I mean, my mum was Croatian. Food is love in our house. So, it was really interesting. But if there wasn't meat on the plate, you didn't have a meal. And, when I transitioned without the meat, I remember looking at my plate and thinking, there's something missing on this plate. It kind of, there was always like a gap, that seemed to fit on the plate somewhere, because your whole menu planning was, for me, was you start with that protein source and then you work out from there. So, when you make the vegetables the hero of the plate, you have to get a whole new way of thinking. So I was very blessed that I can cook. I've always been a good cook. We've had a cafe, so I took what I knew and learned a new way to cook. And I'm determined to teach people how to cook food that tastes really good, that's got similar flavors to what we grew up with, that we're used to, but removed the, make it SOS free. So, I still do use a little bit of salt. I have to say that's been the hardest one, the very hardest. I've gone through gaps of not having any salt, and then it suddenly sneaks back in. But I definitely don't use much of it. Like, I don't salt food when I cook it. I now add the salt at my plate, because
quality of salt.
Yeah, and a better quality of
you
salt.
tell people
because
that.
I put your taste buds are on the tongue. So if you add it when you're eating it, you definitely don't need as much. And of course, I buy unsalted canned beans and legumes and stuff if I don't cook them myself. So, there isn't a whole amount of salt going into my diet, and I use a lot of miso.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Can I just ask you, Shayne? You joined Cath on this journey. How hard was it for you to change? Because some of us, in fact, no matter who we are, really, we all find it hard to drop back on certain things. Sometimes it's cheese or whatever. Was there anything, that you particularly struggled?
It was easy actually, and our boys at the beginning would quite often say, "Oh, you're just doing this because Mum's making you," But no, I mean, we've been together since we were 17. We're a partnership. Everything we do together. We have, we've run our own business since we were in our early 20s. So, and obviously, as Cath said, she's a really good cook. So I knew, okay, if I'm not on board with this, I'm going to have to, learn to cook. And also, there was no way that I was going to sit down there and eat a big steak and we were sort of transitioning off it anyway, weren't we? Really, I think there was just an awareness in us.
You probably weren't actually ever a really big meat eater.
No, there was just this, I think there was just an awareness in us as well. Even if you just look at the industry and all that's going on behind it, I just think that it was just really easy for me. I think the biggest, not struggle, but the biggest thing is telling other guys that I am whole food plant-based and seeing the absolute terror on their face when they think that, what, you don't have a barbecue, you don't eat meat, you don't know, they don't understand it, so I guess that's the message that I'm trying to push out. And
but the opposite, babe, is when you actually cook something and they actually get to eat it and they have no idea that the actual meat part is missing from it. They just naturally eat it, and really it's tasty and they enjoy it, and they realize, didn't notice that it wasn't on their plate.
So I guess for me it was just easy. I didn't have any hesitation really, and I get beautiful meals served that we eat together, and now that we can start to take that message out there and hopefully get other people to know. But I'd love to see more men coming on board, because men, I mean, the stats around, I think the latest stats is 82 is their average sort of life for guys. I saw something the other day that had actually gone down to 78, so a different report from the same report, but the media, putting that information out there. So, I mean, I'm 57. So my drive is I want to live to 100. I can see no reason, if I'm following a healthy lifestyle, why I can't, you know, and
live
it's
well.
and live well, no medication, but also to see our grandkids,